So, yeah, things have actually warmed up in the last week. I mean, the hoodie I was wearing last time, I actually got to wear outside. Um, anyway, this is the Elimination Chamber 2021 recap and review. Show ended, it was a really quick show, so yeah, it ended about 25 minutes ago or so. Maybe half an hour at this point, but yeah, let's just say 25 minutes. Anyway, as I'm saying this, there was some news going into the show. First off, Keith Lee out with an injury, so he was not in the triple threat match for the United States Championship. And instead, they're going to be holding a fatal four-way during the kickoff show, and I'll go through the contestants there. And Asuka was not going to be putting on the Raw Women's Championship, and, well, sort of. Lacey Evans is pregnant. Every report that I have seen says that Lacey Evans is legitimately pregnant. That being said, the announcers are treating it like it's still a storyline. In fact, they were speculating as to whether or not Ric Flair was actually the father. I don't know. They also inferred that Asuka was going to be putting up the championship in a match that night, but that didn't happen. There was no match for the Raw Women's Championship. So, again, I have no idea where they are going with this. Again, if Lacey Evans is legitimately pregnant, I now have to be skeptical about it because of the way the announcers treat it. Either that or they're scapegoating her. Neither of which exactly are going to come out great if that's what you're doing. Just, anyway, that leads into the kickoff show match, which is the Fatal 4-Way match to see who would be the third contestant in the triple threat match for the United States Championship. It's Ricochet against Mustafa Ali versus Elias versus John Morrison. Right off the bat, Ricochet went after Ali, who had all the retribution out with him. And Ali broke up a springboard attempt and tried to get into a quick roll-up. Elias then used a head scissors to hit a drop kick onto Ricochet. Slapjack then broke up a pin attempt on Ali from, I believe it was Elias. It wasn't Morrison, I know that. Morrison didn't really do much in the match. He did hit a Moonlight Drive and followed up with tried to hit the Starship Pain on Ricochet, but Ricochet dodged it. Elias hit Ricochet with a choke slam. At this point, Ricochet fought back again, got Ali to the outside of the ring, tried to do a plancha onto all of Retribution, but the two big guys caught him, T-Bar and Phil, I don't know, caught him and then powerbombed him into the ring post. Ali then looked like he was going to go for a move, but then Morrison pulled Ali through the ropes into a roll-up for a 3 count in the victory, so he gets to advance to the pay-per-view proper. Pretty banal match, unfortunately. I think it would have been much more interesting if Ali had won, or even Ricochet. Morrison didn't really seem to advance things too much, except for what happens later on, I guess, because that is where the interesting wrinkle is. Okay, and just before we move on to the show proper here, I couldn't help but notice they're telling everyone to subscribe to WWE Network. Why? It's going to be gone in a month. I mean, it literally expires in 27 days. I mean, yeah, I know you get grandfathered into Peacock and everything, but still, it kind of seems stupid to say subscribe to WWE Network and not subscribe to Peacock. Which, later, when they promoted Fastlane and WrestleMania, they said Peacock. They pretty much hammered home. Although they did say Fastlane would also be on WWE Network, which isn't true because WWE Network is shutting down on the 18th, and Fastlane is on the 21st. At least it was. I wrote it down here. Let's see. NXT Championship. Yeah, here it is. Fastlane is on March 21st. So, yeah, just kind of weird right there. Okay, as we are now on the show proper, the first match on that was the SmackDown Elimination Chamber match. Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, Jey Uso, Cesaro, and Daniel Bryan. The winner immediately after the match would get to face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Cesaro and Bryan opened up the match, which, again, they did this really annoying thing where they introduced the 4 competitors who were going into the chamber pods, and then before Cesaro comes up, they play the vignette. They've done that before. Why do that? Play the vignette before the match, or don't play it at all. It just doesn't make any sense. Right off the bat, Cesaro countered a leapfrog into a backbreaker. Brian dropkicked Cesaro into the chamber wall and then hit a flying knee. Baron Corbin was the next one out. He catapulted Cesaro into Jey Uso's pod. Corbin then hip-tossed Cesaro over the top rope and back into the ring. Corbin threw Brian knee first into Sami Zayn's pod. Sami Zayn was the next one out. He did not want to be, though. He tried to stay in as best he could. Unfortunately, he forgot there are 2 doors to the chamber pods, and the other one had opened, which allowed Cesaro to get in there and start beating him up. Cesaro put Corbin in the swing and then followed up with a sharpshooter. Corbin tapped pretty quickly. Owens was out next. Zayn attempted to reason with him and get him to work together, but immediately Owens just attacked him and threw him into the pod. Jey Uso entered. Owens jumped him. And then Owens hit a moonsault off of the pod onto everyone else. Owens got Zayn with a stunner to eliminate him. As Zayn was leaving, Owens was kind of jawing with him a little bit, not paying attention. Jey Uso grabbed the chamber door and slammed it on Owens' arm, catching him in there. He had 3 super kicks and a splash to eliminate Owens. Brian countered a uppercut into a yes kick. Cesaro dodged a one leg. I was trying to do the swing on one leg because Brian was selling a knee injury at this point. So he was trying to do that, but Brian fought out of that, and Jey Uso super kicked Cesaro and then hit a splash to eliminate him. Uso went for a splash off the pod onto Brian, but Brian got the knees up and then hit a flying knee for the 3 count and the victory to win the Elimination Chamber match. So we go from there right into the Universal Championship match, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Michael Cole apparently forgot that this was the stipulation of the match. He said, well, I guess we're going straight into the Universal Champion. Like, yeah, they said that. They've been saying that like the last 2 weeks. Anyway, right off the bat, Reigns goes for a spear, but Bryan countered it into a yes lock. Reigns fought out of it, pounded Bryan's head into the mat, and then locked on the guillotine, and Bryan passed out. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. That match was over. Reigns stood in the ring triumphantly, but then Edge came in from out of the something, I guess not quite crowd, but Edge came into the ring, speared Reigns, and then pointed to the WrestleMania sign. The pyro went off, so yes, it's going to be Edge versus Roman Reigns at Mania. I guess Reigns isn't going to be putting the title up at Fastlane anytime soon, but okay. Again, I'm kind of mixed on the whole Edge-Reigns thing, but I guess it could be good. I mean, it's just one of those, I don't know if I really want Reigns to drop the title to Edge. It's either you have Edge go through all of this and win at Mania, which he's never done. He's never won the championship at Mania. Or you have Reigns win, yeah, exact, but it's like, it just doesn't, yeah. Again, this is where I think they made while the Edge story is nice for a story, I don't know if it's a good long-term thing. And, yeah, from that, I mean, let's get to the Elimination Chamber match itself. I thought it was mostly pretty good. We'll get to the problems I have with it in comparison. The things I like, I think this was the better of the 2 chamber matches. I'll get to that when I get to the second one. But you'll be able to see where the flaws in that one are apparent. Okay, I hope that all made sense. Okay, our next match is the triple threat match for the United States Championship. Bobby Lashley versus Matt Riddle versus John Morrison. Right off the bat, Lashley jumped Riddle, and Morrison just kind of tried to play coy and stay out of the fight as best he could. Riddle got dumped out of the ring. Morrison came in and landed a couple of big kicks. Lashley tossed Morrison into the barricade. He then put him up in a torture rack and tossed him into the ring post. He then hit a big overhead belly-to-belly suplex on Riddle on the outside of the ring. Riddle hit the ground, and you could see he was, oh, God, that hurt. And it's at this point that Riddle and Morrison finally figure out, hey, if we're going to beat him, we probably need to work together a little bit here. If one of us is going to win this, yeah, we need to work together on him. They tried to land a few kicks. It didn't really work. Riddle did hit scissors Lashley out of the ring. Morrison then hit corkscrew plancha. Riddle hit a Pele kick on Morrison as that alliance dissolved pretty quickly. Riddle then hit Lashley with a ripcord knee, and then the floating bro. The floating bro. Morrison broke the pin up, hit the Starship Pain, but Lashley kicked out. At this point, Morrison began fighting with MVP, who was out with a crutch because he apparently legit hurt his knee. Although when he lost the crutch, he seemed to be moving pretty well after that. But yeah, Morrison grabbed the crutch, tried to take it in the ring. It's no disqualification, remember. But immediately, Lashley got Morrison in the hurt lock and was holding him in there. But in the process, Morrison dropped the crutch, and Riddle picked it up and cracked Lashley several times with the crutch, and then hit the Bro Derek on Morrison for the 3 count of the victory. Your new United States champion is Matt Riddle. Okay. It's just, yeah. This is where we start getting a very unique wrinkle here, because it's like, okay, so Morrison was pretty much acting babyface in this. I mean, if Morrison doesn't argue with MVP, MVP doesn't lose the crutch, so there's no way Lashley loses the championship. And that's where it starts to plan some interesting things, because a little bit later, I mean, we had 2 incidents backstage. We have Miz confronting Bad Bunny again, and then Damian Priest getting in the way. And then we had MVP talking to Miz, and it's like, oh, you know, is he taking Miz to task for his friendship with Morrison? So are we planting toward the seeds for the Miz and Morrison breakup now? Because the prevailing rumor, I mean, pretty much every report says it's going to be Miz and Morrison against Bad Bunny and Damian Priest at Mania. So, yeah, that does lead to some very unique things. And that leads us into our next match, which is the Women's Tag Team Championship match, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Right off the bat, Belair started the match against Jax. She kind of rolled out of a Samoan drop attempt and proceeded to kick Nia in her hole. You know, it was kind of funny at first, but they've run it into the ground at this point. Anyway, Sasha Banks tagged in, hit a kind of body scissors into a bulldog on Jax. Shayna Baszler tagged in, Banks hit a Meteora on Baszler. Baszler immediately came back, hit a top block slam, and then Jax tackled Banks into the ring post. Banks inadvertently whipped Baszler into Belair, knocking her off the ring, thus preventing a tag. Eventually, Bianca got back in, hit the KOD on Jax, Baszler, but Jax broke up the pin. Jax hit a spine buster on Belair. At this point, Reginald, the sommelier from Somalia, came out and had a preemptive bottle of champagne and rolled it to Sasha Banks, who had just managed to lock Nia Jax in the bank statement. And he wanted her to hit her with it, but the ref caught it, and he said, hey, you can't do that, you gotta stay out of this. And then enabled Nia Jax to hit the Samoan drop on Sasha Banks for the 3 count of the victory. Not a bad match. Like, the ending was a little cluttered, but not terribly cluttered. Like, obviously, again, I think this helps plant the seeds for Sasha and Bianca at Mania, so I think that will kind of help, because again, it's like, oh, we had this, but now, you know, Reginald, who's supposed to be with Carmella, gets in the way, but, you know, who knows, maybe we get Sasha heel turn, and now, it kind of works better with Sasha than it does anyone else, so, yeah, have Reginald suddenly move on to that, so, maybe this could lead somewhere interesting. And that leads us to our final match of the night. I mean, remember I said there was no Asuka Raw Women's Championship match, which they said they were going to do, but nope. Instead, it's the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus versus Randy Orton versus AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy versus Kofi Kingston. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, obviously, Retribution just jumps Kofi, so Ali can now get into the match. That did not happen. Oh, but I know what you're thinking. Oh, so Orton, maybe he gets attacked by the Fiend, and no, that did not happen. In fact, Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton opened up, plotted around the ring for a few minutes, and then Drew McIntyre got in. He went after Orton right off the bat, though he was also glancing at Sheamus after every move. Kofi got into the ring after that. and he managed to catch Orton in kind of an SOS and roll him up for a 3 count to eliminate him. So no Fiend, no Retribution attack, even though, again, 2 things you were building towards. Yeah, you're noticing the problems here. As this happened, as Orton was being escorted out, AJ talked Omos into ripping off the back door to his pod so that he could enter into the match, and they just took that as is. Okay. But Styles really didn't do much as no one got eliminated, and then Sheamus got into the match. Kofi did hit Styles' Tornado DDT on the outer edge of the ring, and Purus ejected Omos. Okay. A little late in the game to be doing that. And then we got some really kind of shenanigans in here. McIntyre slammed Jeff Hardy off the pod. Kofi monkey flipped Styles into the chamber wall. Then Sheamus came out. Kofi hit a crossbody onto Sheamus and McIntyre on the outside. McIntyre hit Sheamus, crotched Sheamus on the top turnbuckle as he was pursuing Kofi to the top of the pod. Kofi did a trust fall off the top of the pod. Sheamus blocked another trust fall and hit Kofi with the brogue kick to eliminate him. And then Hardy hits the Whisper in the Wind on everyone to the outside. He then hit a Swanton on Jeff Hardy. And this is, again, where you start having problems. Hardy hit the Swanton onto AJ Styles, sorry. And this is where the problem comes up. Instead of having Hardy cover AJ and eliminate him, immediately McIntyre hits a Claymore on Hardy to eliminate him. Like, why not just wait and have Styles get eliminated? And then you can eliminate Hardy, and then we're down to Sheamus and McIntyre, which is the match that supposedly everyone wants to see in this, what you've been building towards in this. And instead, exactly, that right there, McIntyre hit a Claymore on Hardy to eliminate him. Styles hit a 450 on McIntyre after that, but Sheamus got up, hit the brogue kick on Styles. McIntyre broke that, tried to hit the brogue kick on Styles, my mistake, and then McIntyre hit a future shot DDT. Sheamus hit a brogue kick, but Styles hit a phenomenal forearm on Sheamus to eliminate him. Again, like, probably why Styles should have been eliminated earlier in the match. Instead, yeah, Styles eliminates Sheamus, and then Styles goes for another phenomenal forearm, but McIntyre catches him with a really cool-looking Claymore and covers him for the 3 count of the victory to win the chamber match. As the chamber is being raised, Lashley comes out of the somewhere and spears McIntyre, beats up on the outside, puts him in the Hurt Lock. It's at this point the Miz's music hits. The Miz hits a DDT and the skull-crushing finale to cover for the 3 count and win the WWE Championship. So, yeah. Now, conversely, as we said, this is where I made my kind of points there. I liked the first chamber match better. It was tighter. There were better eliminations, I think. There weren't plotting scenes for... I understand you start with Jeff Hardy because he's sort of the high spots guy, but he's not really that big a high spot guy anymore. He doesn't have the body conditioning to do something like this and go through a whole match. You know, start with someone who's a little more able-bodied. It should have been maybe not even Styles and Orton. I mean, probably McIntyre and Styles to start things off. Again, have guys work together to eliminate instead of, you know, stupid eliminations, like I said. Why have Hardy hit the Swanton on Styles and not cover him? Again, that would eliminate Styles. You could have then have McIntyre Sheamus, which is what you're supposedly building towards. Again, I know there's a pay-per-view with Fastlane, so I'm guessing McIntyre or Lashley is going to win the championship there because, again, all reports are Miz is supposed to be facing Bad Bunny and Damian Priest in a tag match with Morrison, and Miz and Morrison are tagging again. You know, so it doesn't really make sense to have Miz cash in, really, or cash in and win. I mean, it's great that Miz is a 2-time champion. It's been a long time coming. It really should have happened a while ago, but still, I don't think they plotted this outright. It screams this is just going to be a brief run again. So this is just way too convoluted. And again, we had no... We should... Again, the whole build-up to this was Retribution was going to get Retribution on Kofi for stealing all these spot in the chamber match and kicking off Kofi Mania a couple years ago. Never happened. The Fiend never attacked, never had, again, which was, again, supposed to happen, what we're supposed to be building towards. Nothing. You did nothing to further storylines. You just made everything else way more convoluted for its own good. That being said, the show itself was not that bad. The last Chamber match was a disappointment. But for the most part, the matches were all pretty solid. The women's tag match, I think, was a surprise. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, since it was kind of slapdash at the last minute. And, again, the U.S. title match, which got rejiggered at the last minute, pretty good. I liked the first Chamber match. I liked, the Fatal 4-Way was, you could take that or leave it if you please. But still, I thought, for the most part, the matches were good. It's just the storylines, not so much, unfortunately. And that is why I'm going to be giving Elimination Chamber 2021 a C. I think it's just, it was middle of the road. I mean, that's which, again, for something like the Elimination Chamber, which should be a big, high-impact, dangerous match, it doesn't really fulfill any of that. Like, Hell in a Cell worked way better this year. TLC worked way better this year. This was just blah. Just blah. And again, I don't know what they're going to be doing with Fastlane right now. So, yeah. Okay. So I think I said this earlier. I can't remember. It wasn't that much earlier, but still. I did manage to get Peacock installed on my Fire Stick, so reviews will hopefully be happening again. I guess I'm probably going to be canceling my WWE Network at the... See, I'm actually subscribed to the free tier of Peacock. I think I said this somewhere. I am subscribed to the free tier. I'll just upgrade that subscription rather than get grandfathered in, so that way I don't have 2 Peacock accounts. It'd just be easier that way. So, yeah. And like I said, I could get Peacock without ads, whereas if I get grandfathered in, it's Peacock with limited ads. And for $5, which is for the exact same price that I was paying for WWE Network, it's Peacock ad-free. So, yeah, it just makes a bit more sense. So, yeah, obviously the next wrestling show will be Fastlane, which is on the 21st, which is apparently on WWE Network, even though WWE Network is shutting down on the 18th of March. This is so confusing. Anyway, yeah. What else is there? Yeah, let's see. I don't know. I'm guessing the next review is... I mean, I'll probably have something in between this and the next video, which is going to be the full recap of the WandaVision series, which will be the end of next week. So, yeah, see you all next time. Hey guys, remember to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions, where you can help me expand my wrestling coverage to stuff beyond WWE, NXT, and the occasional AEW free show.